What's going on, everybody? I'm still here in this house, repping the royal priesthood as usual. Just getting some painting knocked out, man. I thought I might go ahead and have a quick discussion while I'm, just trying to get my cut work done, my detail work. I'm more of a detail oriented person. I'm not like like more of a brute force or blunt work or bulk work kind of a dude. I really get into detail stuff a whole lot. Almost everything that I've ever learned how to do, it really do require you to be very detailed. Hair cutting. I need a haircut now. I just ain't felt like doing it. I was sick. Photography, woodworking, things of that nature. Hey, even when sometimes I still take on some car details, man. Like, heck, like it's a difference between somebody cleaning out a car and somebody doing a detail job on it. It's a different story, night and day difference. Like that's the difference between getting the ketchup out of the corner that you thought was unreachable, and just getting the chip bags off the floor. But man, title of this video is called Know Yourself. You always got to know yourself. And the reason why you do is because knowing yourself is going to help you really determine what choices you think is a good idea for you. Right? Because sometimes we can jump into stuff helter skelter and we can forget what kind of person we are. It's called using wisdom. Right? Even though my channel really do talk about a lot of Bible stuff and things like that, but just using wisdom, even if it got nothing to do with the Bible, is actually very important. He called us to be wise as serpents, but also harmless as doves. And some people take that the wrong way, and they think they need to go and learn what the serpents know. It's like, no, that's not what it is. It's like, but to the extent that they're wise in their darkness, you need to be wise in the light, right? But don't go and opt to go and learn all the darkness just because he said that. It's a lot of people that take that the wrong way. Well, the serpents use witchcraft. I need to know witchcraft too. Be wise as serpents. No, he ain't say, all right, man, you know what, just go ahead, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look, but, knowing yourself is going to help you make a lot of better decisions in life. And I'm nobody who you should be modeling yourself after, right? Always model yourself after Christ. I'm still a work in progress myself, but I've gotten myself into and out of a lot of good situations and bad situations in my life just from basically knowing myself. But like, there are some choices I think is a good idea to make, and then I got to sit back and think about what kind of person are you? What kind of tendencies do you normally have after so long of doing something like this? Therefore, do you really think you should take a risk like this, knowing you, right? So, like, I don't know if anybody been paying attention to a lot of my older videos over the past couple months and stuff like that, but man, like I ended up in a tough financial struggle that I really had no power to overcome. It was almost like no decision I made would have solved that problem. It always would have been some monkey wrench in the game to make that all be back the same way again, right? Heck, man, you can't advertise enough services to get a customer. You can't do the right thing to get paid enough from one job. You can't even go get a job. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of things like that to come by and just try and make that kind of hard for me. I had to realize what I didn't have the power to do, and I sat there and I submitted to the process, right? And heck, I thought about getting numerous jobs and stuff like that, and I kept telling myself, like, do I really see myself at somebody's factory long term? Like, dead serious, like, do I really see myself being able to put up with doing something like that? But not that I don't want to work for nobody else. Like a lot of the work I do is for somebody else. Like that's not the problem. Like I'm not here serving a customer. I'm working for somebody else. It's just not a 9 to 5. Right? I can come in at 1 o'clock. I can come in at midnight. It really don't matter. I can come in at 6 in the morning. I can come in at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like it just really depends on how the day going. You know what I'm saying? As long as the stuff get done by the deadline, that's really all that matter. Like that's the kind of work I really prefer to do, just based on my lifestyle. And most of what I mean by my lifestyle is how do things normally go in my life that I have no control of. Stuff that I really don't just sit back and work for. You know, but what kind of situations do I got going on? You got a 2-year-old at the house who you might have to end up spontaneously being the one to watch from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. Sometimes you might not have the babysitter. Stuff like that happen. At some point in time, your oldest daughter needs somebody else to walk her home from school. It's just always stuff like that I need to make sure I'm open for. And so just having work that I can do, that I can make my own hours to do, is really all I'm trying to do. And making them hours gotta be at my discretion. Like sometimes it's kind of hard to schedule out your own hours. You really need to just be able to wake up in the morning and be like, okay, I'm gonna be an hour late getting there. And it's cool, because if I could stay an hour later too. Right? But like it can't be, okay, this is my schedule for the week all the time. Like to some extent, I do like to stick to a schedule, because I'm able to predetermine how everything else in the day is gonna have to fall. But sometimes it just don't work like that. And I have to learn to be submissive to that, because if that's what God see fit to happen in my life, that's just how he see fit, right? And it seemed like every time I just go and decide to go work a 9 to 5 and I got a set schedule, like it's always something that come by to where I can't keep the job. Now you ain't got a car to get there. Now they laying people off. Now you're getting fired for something you didn't do. Just something crazy like that. And I'm like, okay, I might as well just submit to the way it is. I can't live like everybody else, because I'm not everybody else. Like, you know what I'm saying? I might be just as much as a flesh and bone dude like everybody else, but man, heck, I mean, if God, he have a certain way he wants you to live, then like it's for a reason. And sometimes we don't always know what that reason is up front. But it's gonna always come a time when you're gonna wish you were submissive to the way it should work in your life, based on the hints that he been throwing out there throughout your whole life, ever since you've been a child of God. And so, like, what do I mean by knowing yourself, right? Like, you need to know who you are based on this, right? So I was working a sales job. I was somewhere around maybe 22, 23, something like that. And they all had like a list of certain types of animals, certain natures of animals that some of your potential customers would be like. They had an owl. An owl was that more curious person. You know, that person that really want to be in every jot and tittle of what's really going on. You know, it's not that an owl is less likely to buy. It's just that an owl want to know every scientific detail that they getting into before they do buy, right? And then you got those tigers. Those tigers are the people that's less likely to buy. Well, I mean, it's not whether they less likely to buy or more likely to buy. It's just types of people you run into. And those tigers, you go knock on the door at a tiger and they want to play around with you the whole time. They want to smoke a blunt with you. They ask you if you want to pop a beer with them. You're like, no, I'm all right. Them tigers, man, You know, sometimes they'll joke around with you a little much. Sometimes they might be upstairs in their window looking down at you, and then pretending like they ain't at home. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes them tigers, man, they'd be like, you know, like they just like to joke and play around a whole lot, whether they for real or not for real. That's just what kind of person they are. And then you had those lions, and those lions are really stern people. Sometimes they could be mean. Sometimes they could just seem mean, but that's just the kind of person they are. They don't mean to seem that way. That's just how they are, you know. And then you got those lambs, and those lambs are more like submissive people that's just willing to listen, willing to respond back to you. Like a lot of times lambs are more willing to buy. It just really depends on how you come at them, right? If you come at a lamb like a lion, you might scare them off. If you come at a lamb like a tiger, it's like, okay, he's a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you got to come at a lamb like another lamb. That's just kind of how it is. Like, you know, like a lion, you got to come at lions like another lion. I mean, that's just the way that is too. Like lambs and lions are like completely opposite creatures. They got completely opposite natures. But knowing yourself according to something like that is really gonna help you in your life when you want to start a business and you want to know how to deal with customers. Sometimes you even need to know how you should set up your structure of how you sell services and things like that. Just basically knowing yourself. Are you the kind of person that's going to be able to put up with going door to door? Probably not. So therefore, I should do this online. Are you the kind of person that are you the kind of person that like really feel comfortable with upselling people on stuff all the time? Probably not. So maybe I should have fewer prices on everything I do, and that's just it. I don't have no add-ons, no additions, no none of that. I don't even want to be dealing with trying to talk people into spending more money. I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to do it. It's not that I feel like I feel weird trying to. It's just that really I'm just trying to make a sale, make an honest day's work, and move on to the next thing. I really don't want to come in your house to clean your carpet and then say, would you like to add on scrubbing the carpet? Would you like to add on the deodorizer? It's like, look, we either gonna deodorize it when we clean it, or we ain't gonna do all that, you know. And even if we did have add-ons, make all that stuff known up front as far as on a piece of paper or on some document, so that way they can see that you offer it, instead of you always trying to figure out how to talk them into doing it. You know, like if they don't get it, well, they just don't get it. I mean, you could probably tell them, like, you know, this car would be much better off with deodorizer, yada, yada, yada. Then let them be like, well, how much you charge for that? Well, we just do that another $20. But see, some people good at upselling. I don't like having to do all that. I just don't. I got a price. That's it. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. I'm not about to know. Like, but some people might see that as missed opportunities. Some people might see that as the way it should be. You know, it just really depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of situations that should you get yourself into, what kind of people you should be bothered with. Me, I'm friendly with lions. I am. I'm more of a sheep-like person, but I'm also more of a fox too. Like, I have a submissive nature, and I also have a predator nature, right? I'm cool with lions. Why am I cool with lions? Because I know how to be a predator too. It's just that I'm smarter than them, right? They might be tougher than me, but I'm smarter than them. They might be more mean than me, but I'm more calculating than they are. So you could be tough all you want to, but if you can't, uh, like you could be stronger than me, you can have bigger teeth all you want to, but like I got a whole tunnel system dug around here that you can't fit into. So all that strength go to waste if you can't fit in my burrow. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool with other lambs. I'm just not cool with clowns. I don't like jokesters, and I mean, like I still like to joke around and all of that kind of stuff sometime too, but a lot of times I just like to just get the stuff done. Like I like to just get the work done. I don't want to hang around talking, playing games, all that other stuff, just fooling around, killing some time. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not somebody that's given to entertainment. Therefore, like every time I find myself in a situation where I'm in an environment that's totally given over to leisure and things of that nature, I feel like I'm out of place because I need to do stuff with my hands. I need to use my mind and my hands and try and let my hands recreate my mind in some kind of way, shape, or form. I don't want to be sitting back watching the work of somebody else's hands all day. I don't want to be sitting back watching somebody else fulfill their careers on TV all day while mine going down the drain. I'm not like that. I feel like that's a waste of my time when I can be making videos the same way I'm sitting here watching them. I feel like that's a waste of time when I can be recording a podcast the same way I'm sitting here listening to one all day. It's not that it's a waste of time. I still need to be educated in the stuff that a lot of the shows and podcasts and content creators be teaching. But at some point, like I need to be who I am too, and not just sitting back being given over to watching other people be who they are. So if I ever do find myself being a listener or a student or a follower or somebody like that, it's got to be educational. That's why I make a lot of educational videos because I like educational stuff. I like being taught stuff, and that's why I like teaching. When I'm on YouTube, the only thing I find worth my time is something that's teaching me something, not something that I can just sit there and watch and be entertained and soothed by. That's why I don't make a lot of content like that. A lot of people say, man, with some of the work you do, you could really make your YouTube channel blow up doing ASMR, pressure washing, cleaning dirty carpets and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I can do ASMR, but I don't care about ASMR personally to find myself being knee deep into doing something like that. It's like, yeah, like I know if my goal was just growing the channel and being a content creator, like if that's all it was, then yeah, I can spend my time on that. I got a lot of things that I do that'll make awesome ASMR, but I don't believe in that. So I don't want to just sit here and just make everybody else somehow believe in that too, because I don't feel good about putting people up under something that I don't want to be up under, because then I won't do it right. Like that's why some jobs I like I just can't take, because I'm the kind of person that really have to be doing what I believe in, right? Like when it comes to photography services, it really just depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing photography services for a smoking and drinking party, then I'm not going to take the proper photos because I feel uncomfortable in that environment, because that's not what I believe in. And therefore, even though you do like my work, and like I do take public services and things of that nature, you would be much better off spending your money with somebody that enjoy those kinds of environments, because they would probably give you better pictures than I could, even though my pictures might overall look different than theirs, and that's the kind of work you after. But that's not my environment, and it won't necessarily translate that way, you know. That's why like a lot of diehard Christians, they don't like to take a lot of services about pride and things like that, like Christian bakers and stuff like that. They choose not to accept those kind of jobs that have their work being directly like a direct representation of something that they don't believe in. Like if they just wanted a plain white cake, fine, I give you a plain white cake. But if you want rainbows and Mr. and Mr. on the front of it, yeah, like I understand you like my work, but if I'm starting to do something that I don't personally believe in, then you're not gonna get the work that you think you're gonna get just because I do nice work, because then I'm gonna start feeling iffy about it and I'm not gonna do my best, and your money might be better spent somewhere else. Like I wish a lot of Christians would actually explain it that way, but maybe not everybody is that way. Some people could just be bigots, you know. But me, like if I was a Christian baker and I ran into a situation like that, I'm personally not a bigot. I'm not a homophobe. I'm just not. It's just that I don't believe in that personally. And so like if I was in that situation, I would explain it to them like that, because I mean that's the way it is for real, right? Like I only do my best with things I do believe in. I don't know how to be a hypocrite when I'm providing services. I just don't. I'm not good at that, you know. See, like, and just knowing things like that about you would determine what you do and don't get yourself into, and how you do and don't explain some things when you find yourself in a bind, right? Like a lot of people go their whole life not knowing themselves. All they care about is knowing somebody else. All they care about is what somebody else's job description is. You know, perfect example of what I mean is like you got like a lot of content creators who do nothing but make videos about everybody else that's a false prophet. And it's like, yeah, like I get it. Like you know about everybody else, but what is you? You know, it's a lot of women who get in relationships and all they care about is what a man ought to be. But they don't know nothing about what a woman's job is according to the Bible. All they care about is what a man ought to be. And that'll have them being lousy wives trying to make you be a perfect husband. It's a lot of employees who get jobs and all they care about is how a job should treat you. But yet they don't care about how they should do their job. They worried about getting paid more and having longer lunches, but yet they come and do a lousy job anyway. So like you always need to know yourself and know who you should be in any and every given situation. I think everybody that's involved with you need the best version of you. I think everybody deserves to have the best version of you if they involved with you. And that don't mean you being financially well off. That don't mean you not having some down days. Well, what that mean is you capable of being your real self all the time. If you environments, like if you are in environments that's calling more for you to conform and fit in, then it's calling for you to be who you are. And if you just ain't a right fit, then you're just not a right fit. And then like you need to get out of environments that's really calling for you to change rather than just be who you are, right? But now there is environments that really do call for you to change, like in the church, right? I mean, that's a given. I mean, we are supposed to conform to the will of God. We're just not supposed to conform to the will of systems and man and all that other stuff. But everybody deserves the best version of you, and that requires for you to know who you are. Therefore, you know what's worth your time. Therefore, you know what will give you peace and what doesn't. Therefore, you know what you should and shouldn't do too much of, because you know that, hey, eventually this will wear out my soul. Like me. I shouldn't do too much entertainment, too much sitting around the house, too much social activity. Just too much of that will eventually make me mad. And so, like, I need to have more hard work days than I have chill days, specifically because my hard work and isolation days is what give me the energy that I need to have when people want to just chill and hang out with me, right? Because I get real stressed out in environments where nothing is going on, just nothing. All we doing is just sitting here, talking, chatting, looking at each other. I can't live that way. I do need some of that, but not half of it. Like, I can't live half my day like that. I can't live half of my life like that. I really need like 20% of my day that way, 25%, something like that. Or else nobody is really gonna have the best version of me. And like, that's really gonna determine like who you should get with, right? Because like, you can't just get with anybody just because y'all can work, right? Because not everybody is going to allow y'all to be the best version of yourself. Like, just because y'all can manage a house and keep up with bills and both take care of kids don't mean the relationship is working. If you can't be the best version of yourself, then all of that is pointless, right? Because not only can you not be the best version of yourself, they can't be either, because they too more worried about you being the way they want you to be instead of them growing up themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you start teams and organizations with people, you got to know who you are. Therefore, you're going to know who you should not be involved with based on who you are. If you know you can't tolerate too much of a certain thing and that's all that person do, man, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, they can be good at their job and everything, but are they a right fit for the family that you growing, the team you growing? You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody know how to do their job doesn't mean that this is the right team. Because everybody need to work together like gears in the system, right? Like, you can't have one metal gear grinding up against a plastic gear just because the gear fit. Like, eventually that metal gear gonna wear out that plastic gear, and you're gonna always find yourself needing to replace that plastic gear. And then it's gonna be a point in time when you just get a metal gear. If you're gonna go with a plastic gear, go all plastic gears. You know, plastic gears ain't bad, you know, but metal gears need too much maintenance. But plastic gears eventually wear out sooner. But heck, I mean, it really just depends on what it is you're doing. You know, some stuff don't call for metal gears. It's just overkill, right? You know what I'm saying? So knowing yourself is also going to determine how you also deal with the enemy, right? The devil. In any given warfare, you got to know yourself and know your enemy. The reason you got to do that is because that's going to determine how you avoid some of their traps. If you already know that you are a submissive person, you cannot find yourself in situations with people that's tempting you to sin who are very demanding. You know what I'm saying? I like to avoid demanding people who oftentimes would be the kind of person to want to tempt me to sin. And my reason for that is because not because I'm too prone to give in, but because I really don't want to have to be sitting here telling somebody no. Like, I really don't want to have to be sitting here explaining myself to somebody. I don't want to have to. And therefore, I'm one of the kind of people that are more so just get up and bounce and not say a word than like to even tell you why I didn't do this or that. Sometimes I don't want to have to be like, but we supposed to be Christians, so therefore we know. It's like, and look, if I got to do all that, I shouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? knowing yourself is going to show you how to use your resources and use your talents and your potential and your good things about you and your bad things about you to your advantage. Knowing yourself can really show you how to use the bad things about you to your advantage. I'm bad at some things. I'm bad at hurting people. I'm not that kind of person that wanna actually actively do what I know would hurt somebody else. Even if that's what the situation called for, I would rather not do that. So sometimes I try and stay away from unnecessary direct confrontation. I only take direct confrontation when it's necessary. Almost like a fox. If a fox can weasel their way out of something, they will. Lions would fight even over the dumbest stuff. You know what I'm saying? But if you put a fox in a corner, it will bite you. I guarantee you it will. Right? So it's not that like I'm more of a passive person. It's just that I'm more calculating. At some point in time, I will bite. And I might bite hard too. I might I might bite you in the wrong spot. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I like to be more thoughtful about what it is I'm biting over and where it is I am biting. Because I can take a small bite and you can bleed out to death, or I can take a big bite and you can heal next week. It just really just depends, like you ever had a paper cut that hurt worse than a big cut? You ever had a paper cut right here? Trying to lick an envelope. That's paper cut right here, trying to lick an envelope. Man, that sting worse than you getting a nail through your foot. I promise you it do. Look, everybody are who they are, but you need to know who you are. Know what you got a weakness to. Like, you can't just walk out here helter-skelter, walking in any environment helter-skelter, just not knowing what you got a weakness to. That's why a lot of us end up waking up the next morning having to repent to God for so many times, is because we're not mindful of what we weak to. Be mindful of that. But the enemy walks about like a roaring lion, seeking who he might devour. If you're not mindful of what you're weak to, then you can't use your weaknesses to your advantage. Dead serious. Everybody is made up the way they are for a reason. It is not wrong for you to have weaknesses to certain things. What's wrong is for you to not be mindful of it. Right? Like, that's the difference between going your whole life not committing one sin ever again and falling into that trap over and over again. Like, you just need to know what you got a weakness to. Some people, you just need to know who to cut off, right? Like, not that you want to cut them off, but you got to, because of like the kind of things that they tend to bring around you that you got a weakness to, right? And if you're not the kind of person that can tell somebody no over and over again, knowing it hurting their feelings, then you just got to block their number. So that way you ain't got to see them crying in your inbox the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't that kind of person. Like, once somebody start trying to drag me into some mud pit with their emotions, I just turn them off. I don't even want to hear it. Because like I ain't for all that, man. Because like then I'm gonna find myself feeling bad, or I'm gonna find myself arguing with you, and I ain't about to do all that. I don't got time for it, Or I'm gonna find myself saying something that's gonna make you hurt even worse, just because I can still be a bit of a predator when I have to be. Like, you need to know those things about you. Another thing you need to know is what type of predator you are. Are you a shark? Are you a lion? Sharks is not just predators, but they also scavengers too. Lions can be as well. In fact, most predators got a bit of a scavenger nature about them. But some animals are really just scavengers, It's a lot of scavengers out here. And I hate to say it that way. It's a lot of bottom dwellers. You know, those kind of people had a place. You know what I'm saying? It's not to make them less than anybody. But heck, I mean, like they do a good job. They do like a lot of the cleanup work. You know, they pick up where somebody else left off. Sometimes we need that. You know what I mean? That might just be you. I can have a bit of a scavenger nature about myself too. Heck, after all, like I can come up with a side hustle out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? But actually starting and growing a big business, probably not me. Right? Like I know how to look around and just, heck man, like hustle my way into doing a job for somebody in a heartbeat. Like, hey man, I noticed your painters never came back, man. You need me to blah 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 blah. Yeah. All right, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like everybody can be that way sometime. Scavenger nature is just kind of knowing what's missing in the marketplace, knowing what's missing in the body of Christ, right? Like that's why he called. No, like this ain't why he called it, but this just kind of make me think about this. Why he eventually called all meat clean, because now he's calling for all types of people. He want the predators, he want the scavengers, he want the herbivores, like you know what I'm saying. He want the insects, like he want all everybody, right? And I don't know if anybody know this, but the dietary laws and the law of Moses was about types of people. It wasn't just about food you eat, it was about types of people, right? Like, for example, why it say not to eat pork? Because the pig got a certain nature that God did not want you ingesting. He was using something physical as a way of explaining something spiritual. That's what the law did. It used physical things to explain spiritual things. Pigs only love their master when they're eating. After, you know, like after they get fat and full, they go about minding their own business and they don't hear from you no more. God don't want us to be like that. But some people are like that. You know what I'm saying? And that specifically is just not good. That might have to change in you, right? Like I had a different nature before I got saved. I wasn't a very submissive person before I got saved. In fact, I was a goat, right? Like I went from being a goat to a ram. It's like, and it's kind of funny though, how I personally don't believe in astrology. I actually used to, right? I personally don't believe in practicing astrology and horoscope and things like that, but like it's kind of funny how stuff like that actually is true, you know, right? Like I was a ram without a shepherd. I'm a ram with a shepherd. But like a ram still is a sheep. It's a male sheep, right? Like it'll still follow its shepherd, but you better not turn your back on it. You might end up on the floor. You know, it will not follow a voice it does not know. In fact, if it don't know your voice, it'll attack you. You know what I'm saying? Like the sheep might not, but the ram will. I don't know you. Get him. You know what I'm saying? Like a ram is nothing to play with, but it is a submissive creature. Sometimes you just need to know things like that about yourself. That's going to determine how you walk out everything you do in your life. It's going to determine how you get yourself in and out of so many situations. I've been in situations where I could have been killed. I've weaseled my way out of a lot of stuff that could have got ugly. But sometimes you just need to know how to be further thinking. If this do get ugly, what am I liable to do? Well, I'd be liable to kill somebody. So therefore, I need to get out of here before it do get ugly, or else I end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why so many guys always end up in jail. Domestic violence. They don't know themselves, right? Like you dealing with this monster of a woman, and here you liable to kill somebody tonight. And she always pressing and stressing you out half to death. Like, I think you need to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because if push come to shove, the police got called. Like even if she started it, it's always the guy who did it. Especially if you, like, especially if you're a certain race, like, heck, it don't matter if you did nothing. The moment the police get called, they looking at you. The moment dad get called, it's what did he do to her, right? The moment word get out to the community, it's I wonder what he did to her. It don't matter if you did nothing. It's sometimes you just need to know what you look like, right? Like, what you look like matters. Some people take you for what you look like. You need to understand that. Sometimes what you look like really do determine what it is God has called you to do. If you just look like you supposed to be in business, he might have really had called you to business. Like, you was born looking that way for a reason. If you look like somebody approachable, you might be called to deal with people publicly, right? I look like an approachable person. It's a wonder why so many people start telling me their life story out the sky blue, and it's my first 2 seconds seeing them in my lifetime. I just seem like somebody they can talk to. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, sometimes I can seem a bit stern. Sometimes I go back and I listen to some of my videos and I'm like, I sound different than what I look like. I'm not lying to you. Like, if you hear the way, some of the ways I word stuff, I word stuff differently than what I look like, right? I'm probably one of them people that people need to get involved with and then end up finding out that they bit off more than they can chew. It's a lot of people that need to end up in situations like that, right? Like, if it wasn't for me going to a certain church and then and like, sometimes it just gotta be that way, right? Some people would never be able to see themselves if they always go around people they know would never tell them about themselves. Some people would never change if they always get into environments that make them think that they can stay the same, right? Like, in my past, some women got involved with me just because they thought that I was a nice guy that they can push over, and they end up realizing, like, you know what, this guy crazy. It's like, yeah, I'm not the typical light skin. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I might be a bit of a nerd, right? Yes, I grew up in the hood, but I'm not a dude of the streets. You know what I'm saying? And because you thought you found a good one who you can be your yes man, and then you ended up realizing, like, yeah, you got a Jezebel spirit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And now what? Now that's giving you a reason why, like, you realize, man, I got a lot to learn, right? I mean, but some people go and they go pick out people that they think they can target. Like, a lot of guys do that, a lot of women do that. And you also need to understand what you look like to other people, because that's going to determine a whole lot of stuff. Like, what you look like can get you in and out of a lot of situations. I promise you. If you come off to be somebody who's a man of your word, chances are you are. Right? Now, I ain't telling you to seem like a person of your word and then don't be. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what I believe in. It's always going to be times when you just can't honor your words. Sometimes you spoke too much. Sometimes you overpromised. Sometimes it just don't work out, right? I've had a lot of situations where I just couldn't honor my word. And I'm still ate alive about that to this day. You know, if I was ever in a situation with somebody where I gave them my word and couldn't honor it, trust me, I think about it to this day, and it bothers me. And I would love nothing more than to actually turn back the hands of time and probably make a different promise or work stuff out differently, you know. Yeah, sometimes my conscience get to me about a lot of stuff. Right? Like, I have a very active conscience. I didn't always have one, but It's something about coming to Christ that really turn your conscience on, right? Like, you know when you did something wrong, even if what you did wrong isn't even something written plain and clear. It's probably written somewhere. It's just not as clear in day as something you can find in the Bible that easy, right? Like smoking, right? Smoking ain't in the Bible, but it's still in there somewhere. It's just not as plain and clear in black and white. It could be the sin of uncleanness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you polluting your body with something that's irreversible, such as tar in your lungs. Like, that's not reversible. I mean, like, they can heal, they can get better, but it is what it is. That can easily be the sin of uncleanness, you know? What was I getting ready to say? Oh yeah, like about what you look like. You need to make sure you carry yourself like what you look like. If like you just look like somebody that's in bit, like, make sure you handle and carry yourself that way. Like, you don't want people to feel like you just too hard to really understand. You know, people that's just too hard to understand, you like, man, I don't know, something weird about them. Like it really don't matter, man. Like, everybody need to be straight up about who they is, you know, and how you carry yourself really do matter. Like, if you look beautiful, carry yourself like you a beautiful person. Don't just look beautiful and act all kind of crazy. Like that's just, I don't know, that don't match for real. Like, if you look like a supermodel, carry yourself like one. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like, that don't mean be sitting around being some, some sex kitten or something like that. But all I'm just saying is just carry yourself the right way. One of my issues about carrying myself the right way is I don't always dress like what I look like, right? I could have a nice fade. You know, I could look like somebody's young, fresh, inspiring preacher boy, getting ready to tell you about all the blessings of God. And then I look like a construction worker. Like you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, look, all you gotta do is think about a lot of the stuff that I do. But like, the reason I like dressing a certain way and I look a certain way is because at heart I'm a leader, right? Like, I actually do look like a leader. It's just that I'm a submissive leader. I tend to people's needs. I think about what people think about. I care about what people care about. If somebody's got a sick day, it's like, hey man, let him have a sick day. But what if he lying? Let him lie. He just don't get paid. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, ain't no big deal, man. Like, I can honestly afford to pay less people today. I really can. That's more money in our pocket. You know what I'm saying? See, like, and that's just the kind of leader I am. I'm not all up in everybody's mix and all down everybody's back and sweating everybody about everything they got going on. Heck, if I got to front the work myself, I just got to front it myself. No big deal. You know, I do it. I ain't about to be, like, I ain't about to be breaking necks over that, man. Like, heck, it is what it is. Like, if you can't show up, you just can't show up. I ain't mad. Heck, like, I started the job myself. I mean, like, I got into it assuming I was gonna have to do it by myself. So, like, if that's what it end up being, it's just what it end up being, right? Like, another thing about being a submissive leader is submitting to God, and also being a bit of a predator when you gotta be too. See, like, being a submissive leader, it will have you seeming like a passive person, but really you just not. Sometimes you really got more than enough to go by when you have to put things in their place, right? I don't put things in their place as they get screwed up. I really sit back and ask myself, is this just some one-off thing? Like, is this just something they, like, are they just having a bad day today? Okay, maybe they just having a bad week. Well, they've been like this all month. I mean, maybe they just going through something. And then 2 months go by, you're like, okay, this is just how they are, right? I don't like judging stuff too soon. I'm not like that. Like, I hated it when people have done me that way. But like, it's time and place for judging stuff soon. Because then you got to sit back and think about the times when you wish you would have been stood on what you saw soon and just tried to wait around on to see if you was right or wrong. I got things in my life right now where I wish I would have stood firm to my instant judgments. I wish I would have been more judgmental straight up. Like, you know, sometimes life is like that. You gotta know how to just step out the whole arena of being you know, like of being a what you might call clean meat and stepping out the whole arena of being clean meat and being unclean meat, right? Like, you need to know how to be a predator. Like, by our dietary laws, we're not supposed to eat predators, you know. But like, he called all meats clean for a reason. Sometimes you just got to be, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to be. First, Jesus was the Lamb of God. Now he's the Lion of the tribe of Judah, right? He came here first in the time of the law, under the dietary laws. You only supposed to eat certain kind of animals as the Lamb of God, right? He was sacrificed for our sins. After his sacrifice for our sins, he was ascended to the right hand of the Father, and now he's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Look, all of this makes sense. It all makes sense. This might not just be some kind of Bible teaching or something like that, but this all makes sense. Sometimes you just need to know when it's time to be the predator and stop being everybody's sacrificial lamb. At some point in time, you come on a donkey and now you ride on a horse. You know what I'm saying? Like, he first came riding on a donkey. I'm gonna be peaceful to everybody. You know, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to be who they say they are. After you realize nobody is who they say they are, okay, now I'm coming for war, right? It's points in time when you gotta be that way. But even when he was the lamb, he was still going after the Pharisees like a predator. You hypocrites. You pay all these tithes, but yet you don't even show mercy. Screw your tithe and show mercy. You know? Like, I mean, he cut them in half. You brood of vipers, John the Baptist. Man, come on, man. Man, like, it just makes sense for real, right? If everything I'm saying might not be for everybody, but it's for somebody. I got 100 and some odd videos. I'm sure one of them for you. This might not be it. But like, you always got to know yourself, man. Because if you somebody that's not good at public speaking, man, like you probably shouldn't be in situations that's gonna call for you to have to public speak. The Bible say that that a fool can be taken for a wise man so long as he keep his mouth shut. If you know you a foolish person, keep your mouth shut. Hey, I mean, like, you might be able to mix in with the wise men. Hey, ain't no big deal. You might end up becoming wise. Just keep your mouth shut and listen. That's it. Always got to know who you are, man, because that can get you in and out of a lot of situations. Just by knowing you're a fool, right, means what? I need to keep my mouth closed. I don't want to start talking and realize and make everybody else realize I don't belong here. But yet I still want to be here. You know what I'm saying? So let me pick up from everybody else and figure out what's going on, and then I'll Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then I might have something to say. I'm just repeating what everybody else said already. You're like, oh, yeah, that's a very wise point, young man. You're like, yeah, that's what you said yesterday. Oh, man. Funny. Like, it's just funny how stuff works sometimes. But, hey, like, it is what it is, man. It's called using wisdom. Like, this is part of being wise as a serpent, but yet harmless as a dove. Right? Like, don't look, like, I ain't telling you to know yourself so that way you can start taking advantage of people, right? Because that's not being harmless as a dove. That's being harmful as a serpent. But I'm telling you to know yourself so that way, like, you can actually maneuver through life's circumstances. Because it's always going to come a time when the war is going to come at your door. It's always going to come a time when you're going to have to be the one executing the war. It's always going to come a time when you're going to have to start a team. It's always going to come a time when you're going to have to join a team. It like it just worked that way. You know, like I know big business owners right now who are a part of other teams that they didn't start, right? I mean, they started their company, they got 1,000 employees, but yet they are part of the Woodworkers Guild of America, and they didn't start that. They, like, you know, they up under somebody else. It's always like that. But you need to know yourself. If you're not that good at working in teams, I wouldn't start a business that require you to work in teams. I wouldn't go get a job that require you to work in teams. You're gonna end up fired, and now that's on your record. Heck, if you ain't good at working in teams, you probably shouldn't even be married, you know? Or you can get married to somebody else that ain't good at working in teams. Then y'all both go mind your business and nobody else take it personal because, hey, like y'all both like space, you know? Like, I mean, like, don't just get with somebody because they look good and all they want is attention, and you're not that kind of person that just all in somebody else's face all the time. Like, still, stuff happened, but then God will put two people together for a reason because he wants y'all both to change. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, though. Sometimes you can't control being in situations that just don't seem to fit. I mean, you don't always know why it's like that. But, I mean, like, you give it enough time, you can really start to see that God is a genius. Like, he really is. I mean, the way he made you was genius. And like, then you stay saved long enough, and then you realize, like, man, I am really fearfully and wonderfully made. Not for you to take pride in yourself, but for you to take glory in the one that made you. You know? See, most people that talk about knowing yourself, they really talk about that, but for you to take pride in yourself. No, this is all about taking glory in the one who made you. Like, you ain't fearfully and wonderfully made because you made you. You fearfully and wonderfully made because God made you. And he knew what he was doing. Now, what kind of sense do it make to put a dang on sheep in charge of a company? It's like, that don't make sense, man. He gonna end up lion's food. It's like, no, hold on. He's got a shepherd. That's the kind of sense it made. He got a shepherd. Now that's different. Now if he was a goat with no shepherd, oh yeah, of course he'd end up lion's food. No big deal. You know? Yep, it'll happen all by itself. Yep, he'll start off thinking he's somebody and end up torn to pieces. All because he stepped into an arena that he ain't know nothing about. You know, but heck, I mean, putting another sheep out there on display, and he got a shepherd, he the lion of the tribe of Judah. You know what I'm saying? Like, heck, I welcome lions, you know? Heck, I know a lion too. Oh, but the enemy roars around like a lion. Oh yeah, ain't no big deal. Yep, my God is a lion too. You know? Hey, ain't no big deal. Like I once heard somebody say that sheep don't have weapons, like lions got teeth and stuff like that. Yes, they do. But like you forgot about rams with horns, big old big horns too, man. Like you look, like you ever seen a ram knock something over? You like, what the heck? Look like it just got hit by a car. You know, look, I guarantee you, like if a ram rammed somebody's car, it looked like it got hit by another car. You like, what? It's like a freight train came through here. No, the ram just went wild. Like you know what I'm saying? Like a ram looked like a rhino ran through here. Where the heck you get a ram from? Where you buy one of them at? They got them at Harbor Freight. Like, no, man. No, they got them at Harbor Freight, man. No, they don't. No, they don't. I mean, like, you might be lucky to find one at Home Depot, though, but not Harbor Freight. But other than that, y'all, I'm out here, man. I just want to throw this little reminder out there for somebody. Somebody, they getting ready to step in some arena, helter skelter. Need to remember, is this a good idea for me? And if not, can it be? Some things might not be that much of a wise idea when it comes to man's wisdom. But you always got to think about God's wisdom. Man's wisdom might say, Peter stepping out on a boat trying to walk on water is stupid, right? God will say, I can do anything. And I can give you the power to overcome anything. I come and walk. Man might say, there's no way in hell you are going to call some man out of his grave that's been dead 3 days and he's already rotten. God will say, Lazarus, come forth. You know, so if everything might not be a good idea, but that don't mean it's not a God idea. You just need to take into account who you are, because there is an enemy out there that know you in and out. Like, you know, he's got a tailor-made temptation just for you, knowing what you good at and what you not good at. And he gonna send something tailor-made just for you. Watch out. Before you go to any war, you always need to study your enemy and make sure you take into account yourself. If you ain't got tanks, don't meet them in the field. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just don't. Do airstrikes. Take out all their tanks first. You know? And guess what? They ain't got no air. And you got all the air power. Now you just won the war. But if you let them come with their tanks first, knowing you ain't got none, heck, man, now the ball in their court and you got to figure this out. It is what it is. But other than that, y'all, I'm out. Have a blessed day.